The DXY was mostly sideways last week, but I'm going to show you a few factors to keep in mind for the week ahead that could be an indication of where this market is going. And we're also going to take a look at the EURUSD, the pound, the dollar versus the Canadian dollar, and also gold for the week ahead. Now, before we get into today's video, if you do want my help with your trading, right, technically, guys, the 80% off lifetime access to VIP ended yesterday because I did launch the new course, but I'm extending it until midnight tonight EST. So if you do want to get in there for 80% off lifetime access, again, even if you stay there for a year, it's going to be less than $1 a day. Click on the link at the top of this video to get in. So you're going to get daily member-only videos, plus you're going to see my trades in real time. Also, all the discussions we have in Discord for Forex, commodities, crypto, and also stocks. Plus, you're going to get access to that course that I just launched, which I am rolling out right now. So I'm inviting members currently. So it could take a day or two for you to get access to the course, but you are going to get access to that, plus anything else I put out in the future. All right, so click on the link in the description of this video. If you're on the website, click on that link that says trading group and be sure to join us today. Okay, so let's take a look at the DXY here to start, the US dollar index, because obviously this is a major driver for many of the markets out there. And what we talked about last week was the fact that the market was coming up here into this weekly pivot. So we've talked about this before, how on the daily, it's a little bit choppy through this area, right, up around 106. However, on the weekly, this is very clean. It was range resistance before. You can see a little pivot through here with areas around 105.85, also 106.15. Okay, so last week we saw the dollar just chopping around this area, which is kind of to be expected considering that we saw the same thing right back here, right? So areas like this are always going to attract sellers, and that's what we're seeing so far. However, at the same time, we do have the market holding above 105.85. So if you saw last weekend's video, this was the level that I talked about. And what you'll notice here is even on the 4-hour time frame, this is pretty much where the DXY held up all week. Now, you could make the case that we have a little bit of, potentially an intraday like head and shoulders reversal pattern, but that is not something that I would trade. And furthermore, like I've said recently, I am not looking to short the dollar just based on what I'm seeing out there from other markets as well, even the US 10-year yield. But I'm not looking to short the dollar. If anything, if we do get a pullback from the DXY, I would be looking to buy the dollar on pullbacks. All right, so that's just my opinion. That's my stance. But I do think that we're looking at the dollar potentially heading higher later this year. Okay, so right now for the DXY, this area up here, this open gap from November 1st, we talked about this recently, 106.88. That is the level to watch, this area up here. So you've got that open gap, plus you've got these highs up here. So this is going to be resistance for the week ahead. Again, support comes in down here around 105.85. Okay, so range bound market for now, we do have this uptrend still intact. So again, I think you've got to be careful if you are trying to short the dollar. And that's why I do favor looking for, buying opportunities on pullbacks. But this kind of price action right here is what I like to avoid. There's really not a lot going on. The big move obviously occurred recently. This is where to get in long. We talked about this before, this break above 105. This right here was critical. This was your move, right? That's where the profit was. Right now, with the market going sideways, I do think you have to be careful. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other opportunities out there, because I'm going to show you one on the Australian dollar versus the Canadian dollar here in a few minutes. All right, so just be careful. I do think that this gap, though, from November 1st is still going to serve as a magnet. Whether we get a pullback or not first is, unclear, but I do think that this area up here is eventually going to get filled by the DXY. Okay, so next up, let's take a look here at the EURUSD, which obviously is also very sideways, being the inverse of the DXY essentially. And this right here is the area that we've talked about recently. So this low back here, you can see that this has been a pivot for the euro, and it did close below back here, looks to have closed above on this candle, but then the last 2 days of last week just went sideways, right? So more of the same from this market. And by more of the same, I just mean we've seen a lot of this year. However, at the same time, you can't fault the euro for going sideways after this kind of move lower, because this was a very aggressive move lower. So some consolidation here is to be expected. But the question is, do you want to trade something like this? And for me, right, being a essentially swing trader on the higher time frames, this does not interest me at all. If anything, I would have to have the market move up here to retest this area to give me a short. right? Retest 1.073 to give me a short. I don't think, though, I'm not convinced, let's say, that the market can get up there, but I can't justify shorting through here when we have support right down here in this area, just because there's no clear signal with the market going sideways right now. So essentially, I'm just on the sideline waiting to see if we do get this move up here in this area for a potential short down here toward that November candle that we've talked about. So this candle back here from November 1st, what you'll notice is this lower wick. Okay, so this lower wick right here was never retraced. The very next candle opened and took off. So there is going to be an imbalance down here right around 1.055. And that should line up with the DXY up there on that November gap, okay, around 106.88. But we will see how this goes. Again, there's no telling if we are going to get this first before we get the move lower. The market could just open next week and move lower. Here's what I think this is going to come down to, though. It's going to come down to this area around 1.0635, because this is where we saw the market break below, close back above on this candle, which hinted at bullish follow through, right? A reclaim up here. But since that time, we have seen it start to fail. So if we see the EURUSD close Monday or Tuesday back down here in this area below 1.0635, I think that's going to signal a continuation of this move down here toward the 1.05 area. But again, there's really not much for me to do here with the market just going sideways. Okay, so next up we have the pound, which saw a very aggressive move lower last week, much more than the euro. And that's why we're seeing the euro pound start to break out as well, of course. So we've talked about this up here recently at length, this fake out above this high. So this was a liquidity sweep up here. And we have since seen the market start to break down, including this area back here, right? The aggressive sell-off from there. But the really significant breakdown that we've seen recently was this one right here from the 1.25 area. Now, if you saw the weekly forecast from last weekend, you know about this level here at 1.25. So 1.2498 is the level that I showed last weekend. And notice where Monday came into. Okay, we talked about this in the VIP group as well, which again, benefit of being in the VIP group is that you get those real-time discussions every single day in Discord. So we talked about this right here, this retest from the pound, and that's exactly where the market sold off last week. So that was last week's high, and we have since seen the market come down here into this 1.2375 level. Now, the questionable part, though, is was this Friday close significant enough below this level to flip it to resistance? Because if you go back here, you can see that we do have these lows back here. You've also got this high and these lows. Now, you can make the case that this level is as high as these closing prices because this still holds up. If I draw right here from these closing prices, you can see that we still have this high back here, these closing prices, and also this low. Okay, so there is, a chance that the pound did close the week below this area. But what this is going to come down to, in my opinion, is where does Monday go, right? Where does Monday close? If Monday closes back up here in this area, then of course we know that this was not a breakdown and we could get a retest up here at 1.25. Now, if it doesn't though, and Monday does follow through on this, okay, and find resistance here and just continue lower, then we know that that's probably a breakdown that we saw on Friday, okay, and we're looking at 1.22. But either way, I like looking for shorts here on strength, okay? But timing is key. I think you've got to be careful trying to short this early in the week because, again, this was just too close to call. With the market closing, just a few pips below this area back here, it's just way too close to call. If the market had closed down here, then that would be more convincing, and I would be saying that this is resistance. Okay, so I think some patience is needed here for the pound. But all in all, like I said, as long as the market's below 1.25, I do like looking for shorts on strength. All right, so next up, the Australian dollar versus the Canadian dollar. Now, I don't typically talk about crosses like this. However, I wanted to show this to you guys because this is a trade that we took in the VIP group this past week. Okay, so actually 2 weeks ago, technically, we did take the short from a failed breakout, which you guys know that I love failed breakouts, also called fakeouts, and that is what the course is all about. So the course I just launched this week that you guys will get access to if you join VIP, it's all about these fakeouts. So what happened here is we had these lows back here. We had this high, even this high right before the breakout. Now you can see that the market spent 2 days above this area, right? So following the fake out or failed breakout playbook, from there, you'd be looking for a potential close back below this level, right? A failure. And we got that on this candle. So if I move in here to take a closer look at this candle gave you no doubt, right, that this level had failed. So this level should have served as support on this candle, but instead we got to close well below it. So once we got that close, I was looking for a 50% retrace up here in this area to get short. And that's exactly what I did. So I shorted up here, shared that with VIP members in real time. And I was also looking for, based on that fake out, because as you guys know, a fake out to one side like this tends to produce an extended move in the opposite direction. So after that, I was looking for a failed breakout from this trend line as well. So if I move out here, you can see that we do have a descending trend line off of several highs as well. And once I saw that this up here was a fake out, the next logical thing to think is that this entire move also becomes a failed breakout. And it did right here on this candle. You can even see on the very next candle, we got a retest as resistance and the market moved lower. So I have since taken profit here twice. So I took profit down here in this area, so through here, and I also took some profit down here on Friday. Okay, so I still have, right around half of the position on, and my target for this is down here at this pivot. So you can see all these highs back here and this low right around 0.8735. However, for the week ahead, what you've got to be careful of is the market did close very, very close to this trend line down here. So this is inconclusive as of now because the market closed right in that area. It is a few pips below, but you do have to be careful with that because it still could be support for the week ahead. Okay, so this is going to be one of those cases where, Monday or Tuesday should give us some more information. You also have to be careful because we do have these lows back here, right, which we saw the market wick below that, but this is going to be support for the week ahead as well. So it's going to take a sustained break below that trend line to expose this level down here. It's then going to take a sustained break below this to expose these lows around 0.8735. But I do still like this market lower though, following those two failed breakouts. And looking longer term too, there is a chance that over the coming weeks, we do see a move all the way down here to these lows, to retest these lows, because essentially this has been one big range here for this market. And all of this through here has been consolidation, right? So this could be a continuation pattern through here to where we see the market eventually test that 0.86 area. But just keep in mind though, something like that, a move of that magnitude could take weeks or even months to play out. Okay, so let's wrap things up here with gold, XAUUSD, and this market obviously has been on a tear since breaking to new all-time highs. So back here in December, the market tried to break out and it failed, right? This was technically an all-time high. However, the market did not close above and we saw it go sideways here for months. Now we got the true breakout back here in this area, consolidation above that. And since that time, the market really has not looked back. Okay, now it is coming into some resistance here, but shorting gold has been a challenge. I do technically, I still have a short on here. I mentioned this last week to VIP members, and I did stay in it through this move up here. Okay, so I am still short here. We will see what we get in the week ahead. But if the market does come up here and start taking out these highs, then I think we're headed higher, right? But the one thing I will say about this is if you guys have followed me for a while now, you know that upside breaks like this of ascending levels, and the level I'm talking about is the top of this channel. Okay, so we've got this level up here. You can see on 2 occasions, we did get that retested as new support. But this right here is an upside break of an ascending level. And furthermore, we have not seen a decent pullback from gold for quite some time. It doesn't mean that we will though. And it certainly doesn't mean that you should go short this, at least with any kind of considerable size, because the short that I have on here is very small relative to my account balance, right? But you can see that these are the 2 lows I'm referring to. So right now the market is holding above this level. But if we do see a rotation lower this week, down here toward 2340, 2330, and this area starts to fail, we get a close below that, then that could signal a larger pullback for gold, because it would signal that the market is back within this channel. Okay, so this larger channel. If we see a break below here, down here in this area, then it would signal potentially a move back here toward 2200 to fill in some of those imbalances. But as of right now, really, there's no sign of a pullback just because we don't have a close below here. So again, the short that I have on is a very small position relative to my account balance. It's a starter position. I won't add to it unless we do get a sustained break below 2330. Okay, so again, I don't think this is a case where you want to go shorting this, especially with any kind of large size. I think there are better opportunities out there if you're looking for shorts, and gold has been a challenge recently to try to short this market looking for that pullback. It's only a matter of time before we do get it, guys, but I think the best case here, and this is not financial advice, but I think if you are looking for a short here, I think that the best area to watch is going to be below 2330. Again, just my opinion though. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP and save 80%. That deal ends today to get access to member-only videos, real-time discussions in Discord, my help with your trading, see my trades in real time, plus the course that just launched yesterday. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday.